My name's Yoz Graham and I'm a developer advocate for Ning Incorporated. I'm going to talk to you about Get Your Own, which is Ning's method of app cloning. That's when you look at a web app and say, I want one of those. First, I'm going to set some context. It used to be that the only people who could take advantage of internet-based services for their own personal data, such as blogs and photo galleries, were paying for their own servers or for space on somebody else's, and would have the prowess to configure CGI scripts and set permissions and all that malarkey. But then schemes appeared that anyone could join without their own server and started offering everyone their own internet communication and publication services for free. And even stranger, many of those who had their own servers and were perfectly capable of installing software on them turned to these services instead. Why? Two main reasons. Firstly, it's faster, smoother, and more importantly, hassle-free. Nothing to install, no permissions to set, no server maintenance. It's somebody else's data to back up, and they have a lot more to lose than you. Secondly, they have social features, Flickr pools, friends lists, etc. What you get when you have lots of people and can slice data in other ways. Everyone wants to join the party. The main good reasons left for having control are that there are some of us who want more features than these services provide and would like to code them in. But those who can code are a tiny minority of users. Sure, there are web service APIs with the help, and there's Grease Monkey and things like that, but it's all decorating at the edges. So we stay centralized, which is okay because that's what makes those social features possible. The semantic web promises to decentralize much of this, but that hasn't happened yet. If you're a developer trying to create a big popular web app, it's much simpler to build things this way, assuming you have really big servers and really big bandwidth and a huge bank account for it all. But the idea that you have to choose between control and simplicity to this extent is wrong, as any decent UI designer will tell you. You can't have both extremes at once, but you can definitely get more of each than you would think. The app cloning model gives power and extensibility while retaining easy running, ease of use, and sharing of data that allows those social features to come through. Ning is what I'm mainly going to talk about here, but Second Life also exhibits similar characteristics, namely cloning, sandboxed code, and shared object data. Ning is for web apps, Second Life is a virtual 3D world environment, and they both have a lot in common with LambdaMoo, which is pretty much the daddy of all this, first appearing in 1991. All the apps on Ning are fully tweakable, or you can build your own from scratch. Second Life also runs a sandbox for user-created code. The point is you can get in there to tweak and add the features you want if you're a coder. Also, you can SFTP in, you don't have to use this web interface for coding. It would just be for coders if it wasn't for cloning. Okay, so I can hack an extra feature into my blogging app, big deal. Cloning means that anyone can grab and install this enhanced version just as easily as they can grab the original, without needing to touch code. Even better, that version can be further enhanced, and you get collaborative evolution of code. Here's what cloning on Ning looks like in action. This is the Ning bar on top of each app. You hit Get Your Own button. This thing pops down, you give your app a name, then there's a config screen and you've got a running app pretty quickly. It's a few seconds and you have your own app. This is why app cloning makes sense for software authors. It makes getting code out there and running so much easier and takes care of these three steps in one go. You go from running code to running code. And all the running happens on the machines of the underlying service, not yours. For this talk I threw together this app called Timeliner. It uses this nifty JavaScript timeline widget from MIT, and I added a very simple interface for plotting events on it. It took me a couple of hours. But this screenshot is actually of a Timeliner clone called Video Games Timeliner. When you want to make a subject timeline, you don't join the main app, instead you clone it. And this is the main Timeliner app from which you clone. Now, apps can find out about their clones, but this one doesn't. It just queries the whole of Ning for timeline event objects. Here you see the various timelines merged into a single display. This is a very simple example of a new design pattern. Call it Build to Clone. Even though the clones are running separately, they can take advantage of shared data to provide the social features of monolithic apps. The clones know about each other implicitly. Even better, they don't have to be identical. That's why feature evolution works here. You can extend your own personal app clone while still integrating with the others. If you want more decentralization, you can just use Ning as a data store. You can both read and write to it using the Atom Publishing Protocol. This URL performs the same query that the parent Timeliner does to get back its objects, and they come back as an Atom feed. As I keep saying, this cloning concept isn't limited to Ning. You don't have to use Ning, but it is very good at it. Here's another reason why. The runtime environment includes social features. The latest release of Ning extends user accounts with friends lists, and like everything else on Ning, there's an API to it. So you can build an app with friends lists without having to build the friends lists. Ultimately, the reason I'm going on about this is that persistent personalized services on the net, that is, our websites, messaging and other interactions, and the systems that run them when we're asleep, are becoming more fundamental to our everyday lives, and we should be able to create and control and evolve them without needing to know about installing software in order to run them, and without needing huge servers and bandwidth to design and create them. It's about high availability, ease of use, social software, sharing, and collaborative evolution. I believe that these services represent the future of software, despite the one at the bottom being 15 years old. Please check them out. And finally, because you've been such a lovely audience, here are your bunnies. My name is Jos Graham. Thank you very much.